Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing this great morning? This is your girl, LaDonna. Welcome to another show of Cardinals Bird Row. I am having a okay week. I'm hoping that I don't get blown away by the rain and thunder and everything else that's happening in Dallas. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So if I'm not here next week, I got blown away. Ended up in the land of Oz somewhere. Maybe it's ugly. Like I never have my lights on. Like every time I do this show because I do it in the morning, I always have the window open and it's beautiful in here. I have this ugly light on that I really don't like. So yeah, this is how today's going. But like I stated before, we are going to talk about Cardinals baseball this week. This week has just been okay. If you are a Cardinals fan, try to read a lot about how other people feel about Cardinals baseball and how they feel um, about certain players on the team. And this one, this week has just been interesting. Of course, people are already bashing a few people. I will get into that. I will get into a couple news stories that I have been reading about, especially about Brett Cecil. But I want to go over a couple games. I do try to watch almost every game that the Cardinals play. I did watch every game this week, and that's why I said it's just been an okay week. Um, I guess we'll start with last Saturday because last Friday was so exciting. Goldie hit three home runs, and we were like, oh, like amazed by it. Um, well, Saturday night that didn't happen. We lost 4-2 to the Brewers. The Brewers are hot right now. It doesn't matter what team they're playing. They're playing the Cubs this week, and the Cubs almost came back last night. But the Brewers have just been hot. Of course, Yelich hit another home run against us. We had 11 strikeouts as a team that day, and it was pretty sad that to have that many strikeouts. Um, I it wasn't. I guess I would say it wasn't as bad as the other teams. Um, well, not other teams. It's not as bad as the next couple days. I will say that is actually one of our issues right now is striking out. The starting pitcher for that Saturday game was Dakota Hudson. He pitched 4 innings. He had 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 earned runs, 7 hits. And then on Sunday, we lost 5-4 again to the Brewers. The Cards had the lead and they just couldn't hold the lead up. We were this close to winning. We were actually winning a majority of that game. The starting pitcher was Wainwright. At the very beginning of that game, Adam did not look good at all. He did look kind of suspect. And so I heard people complaining, but they were complaining before the game even started. Like they said that he should have been in the bullpen. I thought Wainwright should have been in the bullpen. I said that at the very beginning of the season. But like I stated before, if you watched, my shows every week, I stated if Carlos Martinez is not there pitching, then we need Wainwright. We need one of them. We can't have both out. And so since Carlos is not nowhere to be found at this point right now, we need Wainwright. Like I stated, he didn't look his greatest at the beginning, but you know who who thought he was going to do what he did because he actually after that he looked not bad. I will say that. I'm not going to say that he looked the greatest and he was on his A game. No, this is not an A game Adam Wainwright. I will throw that out there right now. But he did look better as the game went on. He did pitch 4 innings, 2 strikeouts. Uh, and like I stated, we lost. Actually, I'm sorry. Adam Wainwright started Monday against the Pirates. Woo. Um, Monday we actually won. We beat the Pirates in Pittsburgh. Um, but Jordan Hicks got that win. Actually went to over like extra innings in that game, and Grant got the save. Well, Gant, I'm sorry, Gant got the save. We won because of an error getting thrown to the home plate. It was bad, but again, 17 strikeouts as a team on that day. The Sunday game, 15 strikeouts as a team. We're not looking that great as a team, as a collective team. We are not looking that good. We are looking like we're just mediocre. Um, we need to find our swing. We need to find what is going on with our team and how to figure out we don't need home runs every time. We can just play simple ball. And I think some of the younger players are kind of forgetting that. Like we can win by just a single or a double. We don't need a home run. And the best person I think I've heard so far was Colton Wong talk about that. He's like, I don't really need to hit a home run. I just want to be able to get on base. But Colton has been kind of hot lately. He has hit 3 home runs, six RBI, 7 runs, and 10 hits, and his batting average is a 476. He has been one of the players that has gotten this team on fire with the last few games. And we need that. We need a veteran presence. I don't want to call him like a veteran because he's still young, but he is a veteran compared to this team. I saw that our team average age is about 27, which is not fairly old. And it's, of course, it's not fairly young. Um, it's not one of the youngest teams out there, but it's definitely one of the players that we need to pay attention to and watch. Um, because he is doing so good at what we need him to do. He is doing what we need to do. On Wednesday, the Wednesday's game, like I stated, we won that game too. But Ozuna was scratched from that game with some soreness, tightness, strained muscle in his rib area. He got an MRI and he was back in the lineup yesterday. But it's so crazy to see that people were already, kind of yelling at him and screaming at him because he wasn't in the lineup. I watched a show, and these people were stating that she wanted him off her team. It was a show, it was a podcast, and she was talking about Ozuna. She wanted him off her team, and she said she doesn't have a problem with him as a player. I mean, she doesn't have a problem with him as a person, but she has a problem with him as a player. Um, People get hurt. This is a game. This is a professional game, and it's not like people are going to stay. It's really hard to stay healthy when you play 162 games. I understand it's at the beginning of the season, but this isn't the problem area that he had before. This is in the rib area. He had a shoulder problem. I read people's comments saying he can't throw. Well, I saw a few times that he made it back to at least to the pitcher, throwing the ball. So I don't know if I'm not watching the same game or they're just so full of hate towards Ozuna that they're just not willing to see what he's doing. Um, I do like Ozuna. I know that he didn't do what he could have last season, but we just started. Let him, people have to kind of kick the dirt off and let's go. If we're going to talk about batting average, let's talk. We could talk about Yachty's because everybody knows Yachty is my favorite player, and he is not doing great at all. But we're not going to kick Yachty off the team if we're going to go based off of batting average and what they're not doing productively with the bat. So again, People just, make, and I don't think they realize else is going on with the team. Um, on that game, on Monday, I did forget to talk about, because it did go into so many extra innings, and Matt Carpenter got kicked out of that game, and he yelled at the home plate umpire. And the third base umpire, he kicked him out. My whole thing is, hey, Mike, what's going on? Uh, my issue with, because this was another argument that I saw people have, was that Carp bitches and complains too much. Sorry for the words, but I'm just reading what they said. And my issue is that those calls, we've been having some really suspect calls, probably through majority, a good chunk of Milwaukee series and part of that Pittsburgh series. I don't know if the umps just decided as a collective to not call strikes and what to call strikes. But I would argue too. I read, an article. I mean, I read in groups about, well, he shouldn't complain and everything else. My issue is, I don't care what sport you played. If you played basketball, if you played um, soccer, hockey, whatever the sport is, if you've played a sport and you get a call to something that you don't like, you're going to have an opinion about it. It does not matter if that opinion, if you everybody agrees with that opinion, you're going to have an opinion. If you don't like it, oh well, that's part of the game. They're going to say something. Just because, okay, I might think it's a strike, and this person over here thinks it's a ball, doesn't make my opinion correct. But if they want to talk to me about it and say, I thought it was a ball and this is where it is, blah, 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 I think the player should be able to say that. All he basically said was, he said the home plate umpire, he sucked. Um, he should be able to say something that simple without getting kicked out of the game. Um, he didn't say nothing horrible. I have heard worse things from players' mouths, and they stayed in the game, than what Matt Carpenter said to the umpire. I understand that they were down an ump because the other one got hurt, or the guy that was behind the catcher that was calling calling the strikes and everything, he got hurt. He got hit in the mask, so they were down one. I understand that, but he should be able to say just something if he did not agree with what is happening. He should be able to speak his mind. So since he left the game and we could not take Goldie out of first, so Yachty ended up at third base. This is the first time ever in Yachty's career that he ended up at third base. Weeders ended up being our catcher for that inning, and you can tell Yachty was just not understanding where he needed to be, because he he definitely was you could tell he was confused. He was sitting there, standing there with his hand in his pocket, and you could tell like the coaches were telling him to scoot over. He was kind of lost. I'm not mad at him, not mad at him all, but you can just tell they just kind of threw him out there. They weren't going to take him out of the game because it's Yadier Molina, and we were down. We didn't have anybody else to put out there at that point. So it was crazy, but we won the game. But it was it was interesting to see Yachty at third base. But at that point, what could we do? I heard our announcer speak about we needing the the umpires knew that we were low on men, so they should have stayed. They should know not to be able to kick Matt Carpenter out. That's not true because not all of them have that sheet that they do, who's coming in for who and everything else. So they might not know how many players we have left on the bench. But that's not their responsibility, the ump's responsibility. I don't think that should be. I'm not going to say I'm biased and say, oh, that should be right. No, it's the team's responsibility to make sure they have enough people out there on the bench. Um, so in case something like this happens, they're covered. And that's basically what happened at that game. Wednesday, and so going back to Wednesday, we did end up winning that game. We swept the Pirates. Both of the games against the Pirates were late innings to score. Like when I mean late, I mean like seventh, eighth inning scoring, and we have to do something a little bit different because besides having given us a cardiac arrest, if you're a Cardinals fan, because these close games, but it's gonna be at the point that it's gonna be too late to try to come back if we only try to score in those late innings. Yesterday's game, last night's game, we did score first. We scored in the fourth, and then we scored in the sixth, and then we couldn't. And then we scored. We tried to score in the eighth, but we just couldn't get it, and we lost 5-3 to the San Diego Padres, our home opener. They did move the home opener yesterday because of Wednesday. It was rainy in St. Louis. But DeYoung hit a home run in the fourth. Uh, Ozuna singled and got Carpenter to score. And then Goldsmith hit his very first home run, Cardinal home run in Busch Stadium last night. So now I have witnessed Goldie to hit his first home run in spring training. I watched him hit his first home run as a Cardinal, and now I have watched him hit his first home run in Busch Stadium, which I'm actually kind of excited because, not too many people say they were able to watch all three. And the very first one was in person in Jupiter. And it was great to see that he is coming along well as a Cardinal. He's fitting into our system. Somebody commented and said, does Goldsmith ever smile or get excited? Well, we were still losing when he hit that home run. So I don't know if you're going to get too excited about that. But he is a very humble person. He's very laid back. And even when we were winning and he was hitting those three home runs, he still had that same expression of, yeah, I know I did it, but I'm not going to rub it into like the other team's face what I am doing. Um, and so I kind of like that about him, even though I kind of follow, some of my favorite players are jerks, and I know that, but he is one of those people. He is very laid back, and I am very excited to see what he is able to do as a Cardinal later on. We are playing today. We play at 1:15 Central, 2:15 Eastern. We are playing the Padres again. We play the Padres again the same time tomorrow. And then our series next week starts with the Dodgers. We play the Dodgers and then we play the Reds. And then, of course, comes back around. We play the Brewers again. Like I said before, the schedule is horrible. I don't understand why we have to play the Brewers so much so quickly. But hey, it is what it is. Still fire the schedulers. Like whoever did this schedule, um, we need to fire them. Uh, I will say this that Dexter Flower did get hit uh, on the same foot, but he obviously is, came back negative because he was back in the lineup Wednesday and he was back in the lineup yesterday. People are already complaining about Dexter. I don't know what's going on with Dexter. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's, just this a mechanic. I'm not for sure what is really going on with Dex at this moment in time because he's not the Dexter that we are used to, that we saw um in Chicago. We hadn't really got that Dexter. Right now, he's batting a 111. No home runs, no RBIs. He's just kind of standing there, being a statue. And I'm not saying he's not hitting, but he's just not doing what we thought he would do. His last hit was on April 1st against Pittsburgh. He did not get a hit last night, and he did not get a hit against Pittsburgh on Wednesday. So his last hit was 2 days ago. Um, well, technically three. It just depends on how you look at it. Um, but again, he hasn't had those explosive games that we kind of need from him. Again, I wish I could say what it is. I wish I can just, be like, hey, choke up on the bat, or, do some meditating, or go back down to AAA. But you can't, because he's getting paid too much. So you gotta, I wish I could help Dex, because I'm tired of seeing him getting bashed so much by people. Uh, People say that Cardinals fans are the greatest. Yeah, we might be great, and we, like the greatest, like we're like the nicest, but some of them are really, really mean and very, very critical, which being critical and observing, like how I'm doing, is one thing, but to bash a player and we don't know what is going on with them is another. Like yesterday, Reyes didn't look good. He looked kind of sketchy. That's okay to say. But when you start putting a player down, saying that they suck, they're crap, blah, 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 all the curse words in the world, um, that's when I feel like you're you're going a little bit too far. You can express how you feel without cursing out the player or bashing them. You know, for example, when O was on the team, me and my mom did not like him whatsoever, because we knew it wasn't going to be a great, pleasant time when he was out there. But we never called him names. We never said, you know, like cursed him out. We just said we just don't like his pitching because we know this. Um, of course. And then my friend Mike, just posted without tagging him on social media. Yeah, they bash. Like when I mean they bash, they bash. And my funny thing is these keyboard warriors would not say none of this if Dexter Flower, even Ozuna, walked up to them or was in the area that they were. They're not going to say, "Oh, by the way, you suck." No, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna be like, "Can I get your autograph? Can I get a picture?" That's gonna be the first thing that they're gonna say. They're not going to say all the bad things that they say on social media. It's getting bad at one point in one group, which I love being in, Cardinals 24/7. I love that group because I do like who runs it, and I like the information that they provide. But they're like willing to start putting on uh, approval of post because it's getting so bad in there, and it's just the beginning. Like it's been a week, you know it's been a week, and it's already getting this horrible. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I like the baseball groups I'm in. I'm an MLB Diamond. I'm an admin of. So if you want to add that group, and I'm also have my own group, which is 27 ounce baseball. I'm in both of those groups. 27 ounce is where I have my show on Saturdays, and also Strictly Prohibited Network. Both of those networks, you can find me. Like I stated before, if you ever want to come and talk to me about sports. It doesn't have to be just baseball. I talk about everything, but baseball is my love, is my passion. Especially right now, since it is baseball season. It has been very interesting to see what is happening in the baseball world right now. As well, in other Cardinal news, Brett Cecil, he had wrist surgery They said he has carpal tunnel. Right now, they're saying they don't have a timeline for him to come back. I don't know if I know I'm obsessed. I did not say I wasn't obsessed, Matt Mike. I said I love baseball, but I love other sports too. Um, but he's getting surgery on his wrist for his carpal tunnel, and I don't know if I'm to be sad or to be happy at this time, because the Brett Cecil we got last year was kind of like the old situation with for me and my mom. We weren't excited to see him out there. But like I stated before a couple weeks ago, he's lost so much weight, his mechanics has been thrown off. Now he has carpal tunnel. We are paying him way too much not to play. And for them to be saying they don't have a role for him, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because we need him out there because we're paying him great money to be out there. But at the same time, do you want somebody out there that's going to do nothing? Um, our bullpen is looking kind of suspect. The only players I will say at this present moment in time that is looking great out of the bullpen is Bribia and John Gant. If it wasn't for those two, I don't know where. I think the Cardinals will be looking like the Cubs, only like what, 1-6, at the very bottom of our division. They We need Bribia and we need Gant. Uh, I'm not saying Jordan Hicks looks completely horrible, but Hicks is he did great on Monday because he had to be in there longer than he had to be because of what was going on with the pitching, and we went into extra innings. But we had to we have to see where he's going, because we know his inconsistencies, what they can do, what he could be. Like I stated, there's no kind of really hit or miss with Jordan Hicks. He's either really on, or he's just way off. Like there's no kind of in between. Jordan Hicks, like Reyes yesterday, it was kind of wishy washy, which I want him to be better. I want him to be the player that everyone talked about, what I saw, what I've been, seeing when he was in as a prospect, when he was in the minor leagues, versus what we're seeing now. There was a couple games he did look great, and then yesterday he just looked bad. I'm not saying players can't have bad games. And I think that's what people fail to realize. I understand that they're making millions, but people are human. Athletes are human. I don't know if you guys, paying attention. I don't know if you knew that, but they are human. They make mistakes. They have bad days. They have, games that they're not going to go their way. They might not be able to hit. They might be able to pitch that great. Everybody has different ways of doing it. So you need to realize not everybody's going to be perfect every day. It's hard to do. It's really hard to be perfect every day in the sports world. It doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't matter who you're playing. Last night, like I stated, Milwaukee did beat. They did beat Chicago. Chicago is just, I want to talk about that. I want to know again what is going on with Chicago, because they look quite horrible. Um, they look like crap. The Cubs played the Braves earlier this week, and Mad Mike and Dre and Phil are all Atlanta's fans, and Dex are all Atlanta Braves fans. All my brothers from another mother. They do a show on Strictly Prohibited. It's called Red Cup Rants, and they were like, "I don't know if we're going to beat the Cubs." And I'm like, "Dude, I just watched the Cubs. You're going to win. You're going to beat them." "No, we're not. Our pitching is suspect." I'm like, just trust me. Just trust me on this. You're going to win. And they're like, if you say so. Well, the Braves swept them. And they've lost yesterday 13-10, which they tried to do a comeback. They did, but it was just a little too late. Right now, they are 1-6. Uh, this is one of the teams that people had picking, they had picking to win. I'm not saying, I understand it's early. I understand I'm not going to say they can't win the division, but, and I'm not going off just their record. I understand they're 1-6, but as a team, they look horrible. They're making error after error after error. It looked like the Cardinals last year when we had made just errors. We led the team. We led the MLB in errors. This is what the Cubs are looking like. They look like that team. It can't be chemistry because they didn't really lose anybody, and they didn't get anybody. Like, there's nobody new on their team because, like I stated before, they were broke. So that's why they didn't go after anybody. Because there was all these rumors that Bryce Harper might go to the Cubs with what money? They didn't have any. They did not have the money for him to go there. So I said it before, the Cubs aren't that scary. My issue with anybody was Milwaukee, and I was right on my Milwaukee. They are 7-1. They only lost that one game to us. Yelich is looking great. Last night, everybody had a home run. It felt like it was a home run city. Um, everybody, like, what I mean, everybody was hitting home runs in Milwaukee. Everybody was hitting home runs last night. Like I said, it was 13-10. um I don't know. The Reds, of course, are the Reds. Pittsburgh Pirates, of course, are still going to be what they're doing. Our division is still going to be close. We just kind of, if the Cardinals can pick up and figure out how to hit the ball and not strike out so much, we can be in there too. But there's different teams that are looking just crazy hot and it's not just in our, not in our division. I will speak on the Diamondbacks are looking really great right now. Of course, the Phillies are kind of surprising me. They look really great right now. Baltimore, another team that they're looking good. I knew the Braves were going to look good. I'm not going to, not throw them out there. I had them actually kind of winning their division. I thought they had a chance. The Mets, of course, are looking good. The Yankees, I had them up there, but half their team, it feels like, is on the IL. It's kind of hard to win when half your team is on the IL. So I get what's going on with them. Another team that's not doing so great is the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox are looking like the Cubs because they were, last night I was on a group chat and they were like, "Hey, what's going on? What happened with the Cubs? They're not producing." And I said, "Well, um I've been watching this game, and the Boston's not doing much either. It's what is happening with either one of the teams is crazy because Boston, you're supposed to, I had you guys probably repeating it, and you're going to probably be the first repeat in a long time. But Arizona got hot. Arizona was hot to death. Uh, I don't know what is happening in Boston. Boston's record is 2-7. No one would have guessed that. No one would have guessed they're 2-7, and no one would have guessed Arizona is actually batting is 4-4. They're 500, which is not bad for Arizona. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying that they're great, but I'm saying who would have thought Arizona was going to do what they did to Boston yesterday. Their score was 15-8. 15-8, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4 home runs, 5 home runs. I do want to talk about before I go. There was an article this morning that I end up reading, and the title is kind of misleading uh, to a degree. So that's why I want to talk about it. It was David Price calls out the MLB um, for not marketing Mookie Betts and African American players. When you kind of read it, hey Courtney, what's going on? When you read this, it's kind of almost thinking that he's saying something negative, but he's really not saying like it's a race thing negative. He is speaking on the behalf of how MLB treats the minority. And back in the day, the minority, African American players played, were majority of the team when they were allowed to play in baseball. And now, of course, it's more Latino and Caucasian uh, players. They keep stating that they want um, more kids, more African American kids to play baseball, but you're not marketing African American players correctly. Uh, Mookie Betts, which is one of the top African American players at this point, David Price stated he has no commercials, zero. That's not helping to bring in young African American kids to want to play baseball. And I understand it's not just Mookie Betts, it's MLB in a whole. As a whole, they need to, it's definitely wanting to know what is happening to our African American kids, because baseball, of course, is not an African American. Like, I'm not saying African Americans do not watch baseball, I'm not saying that at all. But we're more football fans. It's just to be completely honest. But we need to bring young African American kids, even if they're biracial, whatever, back to the game. When I play, when I grew up in the 80s, I can name probably majority of the team was black. Majority of the team, it was Ozzie Smith and it was Willie McGee and it was Ray Langford. And, uh, I can, you hear all those names. And now it's not that way no more. It's not that way at all. And so that's what is so crazy. They need to do a better marketing job um, with our African American players. And like I said, it's not, they have one commercial that is mixed, and I do like it. Um, but we have all these other commercials that there's nobody there. Hey, I have a caller. 1 second. Hey, you're on red. Ugh. I already know it's you, Mike. So, hey.
Hey, what's going on? L day, L to the day.
L Deezy for Sheezy in the Heezy. You like that? That's my rap name.
You know what? I'm gonna leave that one. I'll leave that one alone. Cause Dre will have fun with it.
Hey, it's better than some of this mumble rap. You understood it. Right now, I know you've been listening, and I've been talking about marketing African American players. Courtney just stated MLB needs better marketing, and it needs to get back to having fun. That would draw more African American players to the game, and it definitely would. I agree with that one cold heartedly. wholeheartedly, Courtney. It's, like I say, when we grew up, Courtney, you, Mike, all of us, we are probably majority black, and
Yeah.
now you're like, okay, we have on my team, I think we have one black player.
Right.
And then Ozuna, majority of our team is Latino. So we have Ozuna, we have Munoz, we have, Carlos Martinez, Jose Martinez, Yadi. Majority of our team. Okay, I'm sorry. We have two people because Jordan Hicks is black, and we have Dexter Flower. I am trying to
Right.
think of, and it used to not be that way. And people, would come into these groups. And I know you probably seen it with your Braves. And I know Courtney's probably seen it with the Phillies that, they're kind of complaining or bashing the team because they don't have more black players. And then they start calling the team racist. Um, it's not a racist thing. It's not the team not saying, "Oh, we don't want this player because he's black." That's not the issue. It's the unfortunately blacks are playing less and less baseball and more basketball and football. Do you agree?
Yeah. I completely agree with that. When I was growing up, when we were growing up and whatnot, I think they did a better job in the community, kind of, doing things that would help, you know, underprivileged children kind of handle kind of afford
Mm-hmm.
cleats, gloves. Like baseball is not an easy sport. Like that equipment just to play baseball
Oh yeah.
costs money. Right, and that's the issue. That's another issue. And certain areas they would allow you to kind of put you in programs and whatnot to help you kind of afford the equipment and whatnot. And today's society, like it's easier to just get a pair of tennis shoes, you know, and that's pretty much it. I mean, that's for baseball. For football, also, you just get a pair of cleats, and they have programs and whatnot in school for you to play football, to afford the equipment and whatnot. So nowadays, I personally, I've never seen any programs um, that they have in school that they help kids to kind of afford what it costs
Yeah.
for baseball. Because baseball is expensive to play.
Oh yeah.
I
That's
play
most.
baseball, okay?
I,
I played it. I know it's expensive.
I was a
So
catcher.
it's easier.
So imagine I was a catcher, so I had to get my own shin
Oh my God.
guards. I had to get my own vest. I had to have a glove. I had to have a glove. Um, I had all of that. They provided my helmet, but I had my own stuff. As a player because I didn't want to. I really didn't want to share. Um,
Right.
it sounds selfish, but I was the main. My main position was a catcher, so I didn't want to share when I was in middle school. Um, but to have a glove, and and then you can't just buy a glove and then automatically think that you're going to play. If you know about baseball, and if people start, watch this and know that if you're a true baseball player, then you know that you can't just go out there and play. You have to get your glove, oil your glove, then fold it, and you have to keep it folded.
Yeah.
You have to keep it folded like overnight for, and the next
For the
day
game one.
you have to ease it out and you have to get it loose. So it's like, okay, if you're underprivileged and people don't explain this to you, why would you want to do all that? And you could just go outside and grab a basketball and start shooting.
That's it. That's it. And that's the issue. Like, I grew up in a baseball. Like my dad was catching when I grew up. Like, this is what we did every weekend.
Hmm.
Baseball, baseball, baseball. Nothing but baseball. So I love had the opportunity to be exposed, the exposure was baseball. It may not be exciting because of all the things you have to do in order to play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes, you have to be dedicated to baseball.
Mm.
You have to be dedicated. It's not like basketball where you're naturally gifted and you really don't have to do much
Exactly.
outside of what it comes natural, like jumping, rebound, passing. That comes natural for some people. But baseball, you have to learn how to hit. You have to learn how to lay off pitches, and you have to learn how to pitch. That's
Or to throw accurately. It's basketball. Like we stated, it's you could just pick up the ball. Don't get me wrong, you have to learn how to pass and everything. In other sports, we're not saying it's not hard. In football, we're not saying it's not hard, but it's like in baseball, it's more of you have to sit out there and practice throwing every day. Shout out to my mom. I can't even tell you how many times I probably hurt this lady's hand from throwing um from throwing too hard, or she wouldn't catch it and I hurt her, or batting practice, but she did it. My mom is probably listening, and I love her to death. And like I said, shout out to her because growing up, she was all I had, but she knew how much I love softball. So she was out there. I was practicing probably daily. I was probably practicing softball daily, if not 2 or 3 times a week. And I would just want to either throw the ball back and forth or go somewhere and hit the ball or practice on bunting or practice on throwing from home to second. Cause I was a catcher. So I wanted to practice on to throw that length accurately. But throwing came naturally to me. It did, which was I was lucky. I was very very lucky to have because I was in 8th grade already throwing to second base from catching. And younger than that, I was actually younger than that. I was already throwing. I was probably actually in the 6th grade. I was already throwing from home to second accurately. Because that's when you start learning how to steal in softball is around that age. So I learned how to throw, and people, I was getting recruited a lot in that area by like an indoor softball team and this and that. But I ended up quitting the indoor softball team because I was playing volleyball and it was just beginning to do too much. School, play indoor softball and basketball. Oh my God. Like I couldn't keep up. So I ended up quitting that team. But it was fun and it probably would have been great, but I just I couldn't do it physically and mentally. But it's one of those things you have to be dedicated. I have a friend that his daughter, he's a coach of the softball team, and every day she is either at batting practice, she's at the batting cages, she's practicing somewhere because they're a select baseball team, a select softball team, or they're just at regular practice working out. They're somewhere every day. Something is happening in their life every day, and that's how dedicated she is, and her sister was too. But that's how dedicated they are.
And that goes back to, back, I saw a special Chipper Jones, and Chipper Jones kind of said exactly that you have to be dedicated. Chipper Jones is one of those athletes that, like a lot of guys that were just naturally gifted, whether it's baseball, football. Like Chipper Jones played both, and he said to himself, "It's like, I wanted to play football, but I was so naturally gifted in baseball that I had to give it a shot. I have to stop playing football in order to be, because he was better at baseball. He completely shut everything down to dedicate himself to just play baseball. And I don't think a lot of kids today have the attention span to just do that. Like, I really don't. Unless these guys know you're absolutely special, and guys, and you like even in football, if you have a certain physique, because I had a friend that also he went to Georgia Tech, and he was just I think he was 6'8", 200 and like 260, 270 pounds, and like he was good at basketball, but they recruited him to play football, but he was better at basketball, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing too. Is like a lot of these guys that recruiting, they're not recruiting guys to play baseball. They recruiting guys to play basketball and football. So it's a double edged sword. You know, you have to have kids and a strong foundation. Your family you have to have a strong family foundation, because if your kid is naturally gifted in baseball and you know that he can be something special, don't let outside sources confuse him and say, you know, that you should be playing basketball, you should be
That's
playing football.
that's
You have to
why
have a strong foundation.
definitely, I think that's why I personally thought Kyler Murray should have went to baseball. Like
Yeah, I totally agree.
I
Yeah.
understand his first love is football. You can tell because of the obvious choice that he made. But I know my mom agreed too. For one, we thought he was kind of too short for football. And I don't know if he's going to do that great. I understand there's short quarterbacks in the league. I understand that. But I just I don't know if I could pass up baseball money right now because look at these contracts that are coming out.
Man, that's guaranteed money. I don't
It's
know.
guaranteed. This
Even if it takes me
guarantee
2 or 3 years to get there, I'll take
exactly.
that as a
And
guaranteed money.
I'm not passing that up. You know, you were the number one pick in baseball, and you got money that
Yeah,
you
that's
had to
correct.
give back millions. You know, he had to give back millions, and I'm sitting here. I don't know if I would have did that. I don't. I don't know if I would have
Yeah,
did
that'd
that.
be hard for me.
You know, there's a video going around. It's a meme, and it said this dad just saw all the contracts, the $1 million contracts, and it's him pitching to his little boy, putting the ball on the t-ball, having his little boy hit. It was hilarious but that's how I feel. Me and Tariq finna be out in these streets next week in the back playing we playing t-ball because we about to get this baseball money. We about we about to get this baseball. We about to get this baseball money. I want him at 12. Teams already looking at him like, what? He's in middle school? Yes.
Yeah.
Doing excellent things. Where did he learn this from? His mother. You know, we ain't playing these games. Baseball money is where the money to be. And and because the black community thinks that baseball is boring, they forget baseball is where the money is. You know, there's no cap. There's no cap like there is in football. Um, yeah, there's a luxury tax, but there's some teams like the Yankees that don't care. Long as their team, they don't care. um, you know, the Cardinals, are technically a small base, and we don't pay over. We don't pay over, but they're still paying.
Right.
You know, they're still paying their players, and you're over here. Well, it's baseball, and it's boring. Baseball live is totally different than baseball watching it from a TV. When you're at the game and the atmosphere, you have to be really, really, really like losing by like 10 just to kind of be like, you know what, I'm over it. Because even if you're down by one, even if you're down by 1 or 2, the game is still alive. The game is still amped. The game is still, exciting to be at. And for people to say baseball is boring, go to a live game. Just
I guarantee you have different. I love the baseball atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's just nothing like the baseball atmosphere. It's just different. It's like soccer, where you have dedicated fans and everyone understands and knows the game, and they're there not to just troll and act crazy. I mean, you might have a few people here and there, but for the most part, most
Mm-hmm.
about baseball. It's like a family. It really is like a family. Baseball.
And that's a great way of putting it. I've watched a couple, people at baseball games kind of confused. I'll never forget, me and my mom went to a game, and dad that was there 2 rows in front of us was kind of drunk. And
Oh my gosh.
seventh inning stretch came around. That's when, the field come out there and they clean the field, and put more sand down and do everything. Dad said, "What are those people? Clowns?" Oh my God. Dad, sit down. Sit down,
Oh my
Dad.
god.
They're not clowns. Sit down. Um, but
Oh my
it
god.
was that bad. It was definitely that bad, and it was sad to see. Uh, because it's like, you're supposed to be teaching your son. For one, you're not supposed to be that drunk in front of your son, because your son was like only 10. So let's start there. You were not supposed to be that wasted. But then, two, you over here calling the crew clowns. So usually
Oh
that's
my
now,
god.
and that's been like probably 10 years ago. Probably over, it's probably been longer than that me and my mom saw this. And we still, every once in a while, when we see them, who are those people? Clowns? Because it was like, we died. We were dying laughing. And we
Oh
could not
man.
believe he said that.
I've never had that. I've never had the pleasure to watch
I
something like
watched,
that.
we thought, this was before they put, start putting the nets up. Um, and second and third,
Right.
second, this is,
Yeah.
there was a,
That was for the next age.
this
Yeah.
is, yeah, this is before we just knew these girls were going to fall over, because majority of the game, they were on the railing and they were at the first row of, like, we were in probably in the second tier of Busch Stadium. So they're in the second row hanging all over it. And the whole game they were drinking beer and eating cotton candy. I was like, this has to be the worst combination to somebody's stomach ever in life. And that's what they did the whole game. I said, I can't imagine it. We just knew, because how hard they were laughing and how drunk they were going to fall over and somebody was going to have to catch them.
Oh my
But
gosh.
they, thank God, they never fell. But we watched them majority of the time to make sure they wouldn't fall versus the game.
Oh my goodness.
Because that's how much they were on that railing and just hee ha ha, and they were laughing and holding on to the rail and kind of like leaning back. Both of them, not one of them, both of them. Yeah.
I'm good. I don't do well with rails and cliffs, and I'm good with that. I'm good. I don't need that. I'll stay in my seat.
Yeah, we usually
5
don't.
feet, maybe 5 feet.
We usually don't go high, in any game, because my husband is fear of heights is bad. It's real bad.
I'm bad, but I don't think I'm as
Oh,
bad. I've heard.
yeah.
People pay extra money just so.
Yeah, we pay extra money. We pay extra money to stay low. Like, we're going to 2 games in May, and one game is in one section. One game is in section like hundreds, and the other section is 200s. Which either one is not bad, but we're not going any higher than that. And that's how it goes for any season. If it's football season, we don't go any higher than the 2s. That's why we come out so much money during football season. People laugh and they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't pay that much." I said, "You don't want to know how much we pay for tickets."
Yeah, I heard.
I've told you, but other people don't want to know how much we paid for tickets pre-kid. This is
now you have a kid.
Now we have a kid, so I don't know what we're gonna do. But pre-kid, I'm not gonna discuss the amount. But let's just say, if you're a Cowboys fan and you know Cowboys tickets pricing, then you know we did not.
I understand being an Atlanta fan now, especially with this new stadium.
Yeah,
tickets are crazy. Man.
Yeah. So that's again for baseball, but baseball, of course, is not that. It does get crazy high, but you're not spending for the tickets that we spent for football. You're not spending nowhere near hundreds of the sections we want to sit at, because there, of course, we know there's some sections that cost that much, but I just want to see the game. I personally would rather sit on the third base line or the first base line, just depending on where my
Yeah, me
team
too.
is, versus outfield or behind home plate. Sometimes behind home plate you do get that great view. Don't get me wrong, but I can't find. That's kind of like the 50-yard line of football is the home plate seats. I can't afford those seats.
I like. I mean, I like to just. I like the view.
Yeah.
I prefer a view than just you're gonna get a foul ball regardless.
Yeah.
That's just baseball. You're gonna get foul balls. So any third base, first base line, that's basically mine. Those are my ears. Those
Those
are my
are
preferred.
yeah, those are my preferred. Definitely. I almost died on the third baseline in St. Louis because the ball, somebody hit a foul ball, but thank God it hit the railing because I was on the seat that started the aisle. I was at that very first seat, and the ball came my way, and I ducked, and the only thing I heard was ding, and thank God for that railing. It saved my life. It definitely saved my life. Um, Before I go, I do want to talk about your Braves because and of course, you always have concerns about your team. I see you guys won last night. You swept the Cubs. Um, you played Nationals first, right? And you didn't look. Yeah, we playing the Marlins now, but you didn't look that hot, and that's what you guys are kind of worried about at the very beginning. But then, like I told you, just watch the Cubs. Um, just they're not the team that everybody is used to. So for your team to be better, what area would you fix if you had the power to fix it?
Honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I think, in the very beginning of the season, we all have concerns. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Cardinal fans are going completely insane. We still have like 150 games left, and everybody is panicking and whatnot.
I need to start sending you screenshots from those groups. Boy.
Oh my gosh! Like,
Oh.
I can't go into Braves groups.
Yeah.
I can't go into Falcons groups because fans panic. They will push the panic button before a guy even plays the entire game. Before you even play half the season, everyone is panicking. So, now I wouldn't change anything. I think what I can't pronounce his last name. I just call him AA double A. I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but I see the vision and what he's trying to do. The Braves have like the Cardinals, we have so many prospects, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Especially pitching. And these guys need experience. And spending money on players such as Craig Kimbrell, and he's a terrific closer. All right, he's a terrific closer, but you would never know what you have if you don't give these guys a chance. They need experience. And with the offense that we have, it is absolutely loaded. Donaldson, he's beginning to hit, and we have prospect that'll be playing third base sometime next season. So you don't want to spend money on these guys on free agents and whatnot. You have to see what your minor league players can do. You have to see what your prospect players can do, and we never know. Be like the Yankees, trade everyone away just to sign, everyone else's top talent for $100 and something million. You can't afford to do that. All right, so this is the best way for them to do it. They just spend like $600 million on other people's talent. Like stop. At some point, grow your own talent. All right, but I think this is the best. Like, fans are complaining about the Braves not spending money and whatnot, but it really is the best. And I think we have good talent in the minor league system, and I would not change. I wouldn't change anything because this offense is yet to click. That's the scary part.
Yeah, and I feel that way with our team. You know, I feel how you're feeling. Um, they're already making a couple changes. Like Dakota Hudson is not in the starting lineup for starting pitcher. He's actually coming out of the bullpen right now. So we have a 4-man rotation in pitching because of how the days off have been going. Um, but that's the only like change that I've seen. Besides, Jerko is back from the IL, so they put Robinson, Drew Robinson, back down in AAA. But that's like it. Like I wouldn't change nothing because, like you said, it's early. Like for my team, it's very early in the season, and it'd be different if we were like one in something.
Right.
Then I would be hitting the panic button. Like, okay, what do we need to do? Who do we need to bring up? You know, what prospect do we need to bring up? Whatever the case may be, but we're like we've won 3 games. You know, I'm not saying it's we're going to win everything, but it's just we could be so much worse. We could be the Cubs.
You could win 2 series and you're right back in it. Like
Exactly.
You're right back in it, take the things. Like that's nothing.
Exactly. We can, finish out this series and win both of them against the Padres, and we'll be just fine. You know, um, this is, if you're listening, you don't know who it is. This is Mad Mike. He, like I stated, he is from Red Cup Rants. Our show is on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. They talk about all types of sports, and they have a lot of rants. Sometimes I join them, sometimes I don't. I will have him and Dre and hopefully Dex on. Dex, I don't know if I can get him on, but we're talking about baseball, so I probably can get him on. Like, I have to kind of convince them. It's kind of like dangle the ball in front of them. Dex, it's baseball. He is. He is. And so we play the Braves the 14th, 15th, and 16th. That is right before the Cardinals come down here and play the Rangers. So I might have them. I'm going to probably have them on either before the series or right after the series. Like I stated, I'm going to have them on. So it's not, I guess we'll probably have it before because then I can't trash talk and they can't trash talk. Uh, but I want to see how our teams are doing then, and like we're doing now, kind of going back and forth, because a lot of people are so homered about their own team, they don't pay attention to others. And like I stated before, I want people to know what are the big stories from different teams and not just my own. I understand this is a Cardinal show, but I'm going to have people from our division come on. I'm going to have people that are fans from, like Mike is, a team outside our division. I want to know how they're taking it because people just think their team is the greatest and they're not paying attention to what else is happening. Like yesterday, we had our first cycle. The first cycle happened yesterday. And we don't know when we're going to get another one because cycles are so hard to do. But we got we got the first one yesterday. We've had so many home runs. The Dodgers right now are like on fire with home runs. So again, I'm going to have more guests come on, and we're going to talk about other teams besides the Cardinals at the end of the show so people can learn about other teams. I want to thank Matt Mike for coming on. I love talking to him. Please check them out on Tuesday nights. If you're into fantasy baseball, please check out Thrive Fantasy, thrivefantasy.com. You could check them out. There's an app too if you want to download it, Thrive Fantasy. And if you sign up and ask for a promo code, you can either put in 27 outs or Strictly Pro. If you need more information, find me. I'm on Facebook, LaDonna Samani. Um, I'm on Instagram, Sports LD, Sports Diva LD, 82 Sports Diva LD. You can find me everywhere. 27 outs baseball and Strictly Prohibited baseball. Thank you for listening and thank you for coming. And I will see everybody next Saturday at 11 a.m., 12 noon, 12 noon Eastern. One day I'll be able to talk. And I will talk to you guys then.
All
Peace.
right.